Also said my internet connection or my stream had disconnected. So pardon me while I look at this real quick. It should have pulled the exact same settings over from OBS. I'm hoping it was just a temporary hiccup. I hope. Let's see. Anyway, we shall see. Going back to the stream, or the deck. So, 4 Fervent Champion, 1/1 Haste First Strike that can pump other knights. So if you get 2 of them in play early on, they're pretty powerful, becoming 2/1 First Strikes. Grim Initiate, 1/1 First Strike. When it dies, you amass 1, creating a zombie army token. Scorch Spitter, 1/1. When it attacks, you deal damage to a player or planeswalker, which is usually used so that you can always trigger light up the stage even if they're going to block it. At least for me, that's what I use it for. 3 Shock, because it's, been good enough since what, Tempest? It's good enough for me now. We don't have Lightning Strike, and even if we did, Lightning Strike's 2 mana, so Obosh wouldn't like it. 10 Street Dodger, 1/1 Haste, that also has the ability, if you pay a red, it can't be blocked up by creatures with Defender. This has won me games. Flat out. Anax Hardened in the Forge, I mean, it's a good creature, which the big advantage of him is whenever he or another creature, non-token creature you control, dies, you get a token. That main big thing is it punishes players who like to pack Shatter the Sky to board wipe because you're going to get a whole new board in replacement. Bone Crusher Giant because he's just friggin' awesome with the stomp ability. Turn 2 stomped into turn 3 Bone Crusher can be pretty good. Like I said before, Legion Warboss is in there because I don't have Phoenix of Ash. And he's a good creature anyway. You'll see him quite often in sideboards. So he'll do for the moment. Light Up the Stage has been a red staple since it was printed. Because of that lovely single red spectacle cost, which means if you deal damage to your opponent, you can cast it for a single red. Or if your opponent took damage, they can deal themselves damage, you can still activate the ability. And then you exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you get to play those cards until your end of your next turn. One recent card that I missed because I stopped playing Magic for a while is Heraldic Banner. For 3 mana, you get to choose a color. All creatures you control that color get +1/+0. And it taps for that color mana, which makes it a very useful mana rock plus pump. Especially, they kill Anax and they wipe half your board. You just get a whole bunch of Satyr tokens that are 2/1 and can now attack. And then, of course, Obosh uses your backbreaker. See, like any companion, which are huge right now because of the obvious advantages they offer, he sits in the companion zone until you're ready to play him for 5 mana. At that point, all of your odd converted mana cost abilities deal double damage. So your 2/1 First Strike suddenly deal 4 damage. Your Bone Crusher Giant, since it is a 3 mana spell, technically, can stomp for like 4 damage. Or maybe it's just Shock. It may not be the Stomp, because I think it's on the stack, it's actually 2. So Stomp may only do 2, but Shock definitely does 4. So it all combines into a deck that is really quick and annoying for a lot of people. I was playing it last night. The win that actually got me into Diamond rank, I played first, dropped a land, dropped a 1 mana 1/1 creature, and my opponent promptly conceded. Probably had seen it way too much. Alright, the other one I've been toying with off and on is Rakdos Aggro, which has gotten a few new cards in there. It follows the same theory, which is to punish decks, the very popular decks right now that tend to use board wipes or other effects to maintain control of the board. Hello, little one. Whistling. 3-year-olds. Gotta love them. Alrighty, so Serrated Scorpion is one of those big ones because whenever it dies, deals 2 damage to each opponent, you gain 2 life. So, the minute you play, unless they have a way of exiling it, you're guaranteed 2 damage. Fervent Champion because it's fast. Yes, you can give me a hug.
Yes, I can get that hug. You're right.
Footlight Fiend I've been seeing in decks. I like it myself because it especially is good against the other aggro decks that like to throw something out. It's guaranteed 1 damage, so it can often trade 2 for 1. You block 1/1/1, use it to ping a different 1/1 off the board. Heartless Act is one of the best Straight up creature kill spells available right now for the cheap cost. Scorching Dragonfire is one of the best red removal right now, because it deals 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker, and if that would die, exile it instead. Great for getting rid of Rogue to Fairy so they can't be brought back with Elspeth Conquers Death. Dreadhorde Butcher is a fantastic creature. 1/1 haste for 2 mana. When it deals combat damage to a player or a planeswalker, you give a +1/+1 counter to it. But when it dies, it deals all that damage equal to its power to any target. So they kill it, they're still going to take damage from it. Kroxa, an escape creature. So for only 2 mana, it's a 6/6, but you have to sacrifice it when you play it. So when it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Every opponent who did not discard a non-land card takes 3 damage. So if they discard a land, they take 3. Straight up. If they have no cards in hand, they take 3. Then, for 4 mana, you can exile 5 other cards from your graveyard, take it from the graveyard, put it into play. Then it stays as a 6/6 creature. Mind you, the 2 mana cost can kind of suck, because that means it's vulnerable to cards like Claim the Firstborn, which is a pretty powerful card played in Rakdos Sacrifice decks. And of course, Bone Crusher Giant, Legion War Boss, Light Up Stage. Ashiok is in there because he's fantastic against the cycling decks, and can annoy any other deck in the environment right now that uses their graveyard repeatedly. When he's in play, your spells and abilities that opponents control cannot cause their controller to search your library. Mind you, the only card I can think of off the top of my head that's being played like that is Fabled Passage, which allows you to crack it and search for any basic land and put it into play tapped, unless you have 4 or more lands then, in which place it comes to play untapped. But the -1 ability is what's great. Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, then each opponent's graveyard is exiled. So for that cycling deck that likes to use the Zenith Blast to basically kill you in one shot, they just watch all their cycling cards go away. That Luris deck that keeps recycling all their cards in their graveyard gets rid of them. If you're playing a self-mill deck, or a deck that wants to put the cards in the graveyard, you can actually target yourself with the ability, mill 4 cards off top of your library, then exile your opponent's graveyard. And you can keep doing that you can do up to 5 times before Ashiok dies. More often than not, the minute I drop it on the board and activate it, my opponent tries to find a way to kill it, because it's such a potent threat against certain decks. And finally, the other big one that didn't do too well at the seasonal whatever it was that they had this week in Season 2 of Magic Online, Rakdos Sacrifice actually didn't make a very good showing. I don't know if it's because it's not as well situated against Yorion and Luris decks or what, but it's a fun deck. It's another one of those Obosh companion decks, so you only have odd mana costs, using the Cauldron Familiar Witch's Oven combo, which sacrifice the Cauldron Familiar to Witch's Oven, you create food, sacrifice the food, Cauldron Familiar comes back into play, dealing 1 damage each time. You use things like Midnight Reaper, or Judith, or Mayhem Devil to basically deal damage to your opponent's creatures or your opponent every time you activate those triggers. Most of the decks out there are running Woecrafter, which I don't have any of. Woestrider, excuse me. Because with 3 mana when it enters the battlefield, you create a 0/1 white creature token, and you can always sacrifice another creature to scry 1, plus it has an escape ability. I've seen the escape ability used once out of hundreds of games. It's not often used. Usually you only win it when play it when you're only winning anyway. But it's a reusable sacrifice effect. This also runs the most annoying card for most decks right now, Claim the Firstborn. Gain control of target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less until end of turn. Untap that creature, gains haste until end of turn. So your opponent escaped with an Uro. They just gained 3 life, put a land from their hand into play, and now they got a 6/6 on the board. Well, I'll tell you what I've done with it. I've claimed it, smacked my opponent, gained 3 life, put a land from my hand into play, or at least drew a card off of it, and then sacrificed it to the Witch's Oven to make a pie. Most people get very annoyed when you do that to their creatures for very good reason. I've got 7 drop frames detected, 44% over the last 2 minutes. Well, if things are acting a little shaky or weird, let me know. Well, I'm going to start off playing the mono red deck. I did make diamond tier or rank 4 last night, so I'm safe. I can't drop below diamond rank now. which means if I want to play around with a couple other decks tonight, I can without risk of losing my diamond ranking. But I really would like to push to Mythic for the first time in forever. I am running the untapped.gg app to show my deck list in the left-hand corner. Alright, so I'm going to keep this hand. I'm probably going to lead Mountain, Grim Initiate, because then I can go with 10th Street Dodger next turn and attack with both creatures. I really don't know if you're supposed to play the haste creature first. I like playing the non-haste creature first, because then you can play the haste creature and then attack with both creatures next turn. Otherwise, I have to drop this turn through and I don't even get to do anything with it till turn 3. So since I'm on play, I have the nice advantage of being able to lead with a turn 2 light up the stage. That little ability there, meaning the spectacle has been triggered, which gives me options for my next plays. Like in this case, land, Fervent Champion, stomp something with Bone Crusher Giant. Or in this case, my opponent, because Paradise Druid has got hexproof as long as it's tapped. But by casting it on an adventure, I exile the Bone Crusher Giant, and then I can cast that creature out of exile later. So, boom, all 3 attack. My opponent will probably not. I suspect we'll see a Migratory Greathorn mutate next turn, which is the usual play. Oh, Cruel Celebrant. I stand corrected. They shock themselves with the Godless Shrine. Stonecoil Serpent. 2/2. Protection from multicolored. Wish I had a Heraldic Banner at this moment. I do have a shock, so I can kill the Cruel Celebrant, so that way they're not getting too much advantage out of it. And then play... Oh, Resolve. Yeah, I lose a life, they gain a life. Big deal. Play the Grim Initiate. Play this 10 Street Dodger. Swing with 4 creatures, and they can only block one of them. I could block the 10 Street Dodger. I'll play my land for the turn, and I'm done. I could have played the Bone Crusher Giant that turn. But if I can draw another land, I'll have 4 creatures with Obosh in play, and that feels great. Forever Young, putting it on the top of their library, and then drawing a card. So they're going to draw the Cruel Celebrant back immediately to recast. It's the Indatha Triome, so white, black, green. Alright. Now they have their Cruel Celebrant back. So I would like... what is this? Enters the battlefield with... Oh, they're just going to kill it immediately by putting no counters on it, so that I lose a life and they gain a life. That's an interesting play. I'm not real sure the reasoning behind it. Okay, so let's go ahead and stomp the Cruel Celebrant again, because I'm just a meanie. I'm going to go ahead and activate the 10th Street Dodger. Yep. So, don't want to do that. Alright, I'm going to hold back with the Fervent Champion, because if they block the Grim Initiate, I at least get an army out of it. With the Fervent Champion, it will be an attack for no point. I probably... I don't know, I'm sitting there debating back and forth if I should have killed the Celebrant or dropped the Bone Crusher Giant. It could have gone either way. I'm still learning, even though I've played the deck probably a good 30 or 40 times, that's just getting started. Good lord, they're bringing it back again. Apparently that's the only real play they have, is to keep bringing back the same creature over and over again so they can keep trying to gain life off of it. So there's land 5. That means all of my odd converted mana cost creatures now deal double damage. Zombie Army is a 0 mana creature. It will not be affected by this. So I'm going to hold it back. Grim Initiate will kill Paradise Druid as it has first strike. Boom. 10th Street Dodger trades with Serpent Coil. Slowly working down their board. Now things are going to get nasty. They have not killed Obosh. So Obosh is a potential 6 damage creature. And worse yet, I can drop 2 Bone Crusher Giants this turn. I'm only going to drop one, though. One is all I need to really finish the game. I really do not want to walk into a board wipe. Apparently my opponent has had enough. The push to Mythic is going to take a while, folks. That's just the way it is. Supposedly this Untapped app will, since I created an account and all, will actually keep track of my games, win and losses over time and, you know, give me stats and such, so we'll see. Okay, I like this hand. I like it. I'm gonna keep it. I get to play first as well. But a Heraldic Banner is always a nice thing to see in my opening hand. Alright, my opponent didn't play anything new, so same play as before. First turn 1-1, second turn hasty. Drop light up the stage. I'm not going to leave mana for shock open. Alright, so next turn we can play a mountain. Drop Heraldic Banner, swing, use the banner to play light up the stage. Assuming my opponent doesn't kill anything or mess up my plans by, you know, playing something nasty. Oh, my opponent's going to go ahead and swing for one with my own creature. Can I say, unless they have a way to sacrifice my creature, I hate that play? Ah, a 2-for-1 deal. So they're going to use my creature to kill my creature. As you know, they're like asshats. But the big advantage of it all is they do get to keep the army because the creature died under their control. So I'm going to hold back on a shock just in case. I'm going to go ahead and kill this in response. Mayhem Devil's going to be a pain in the butt. And already I'm kind of hurting because I didn't draw much else. I'm going to go ahead and swing too. Let's see if he's foolish enough to block. Only a person who's got a trick would swing at this point. And they realize it. So, free damage, and the next turn I can drop Obosh on the board, unless they have a kill spell. I'm set. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card and loses life. Oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go through my upkeep, get the card, then I'll go ahead and shock it, depending on how things go. 2/2 Menace. That's the problem with a card like this, is that your opponent gets the benefit of it first. So this is going to pump my creatures even more. Oh, being of their upkeep? Never mind. I read the card wrong. It happens. RTFC. So they're going to pump each other up to 3/1s with First Strike. So yeah, I didn't get the advantage, but I don't want them to have too much extra card advantage either. I don't like the temples in a deck like this, Rakdos, because I think this is an aggro deck, and the last thing you want is to be stuck with a land that taps. So I don't run them. Your mileage may vary. Ah, hell, another Mayhem Devil. My opponent apparently can't count to 5, because otherwise they know I have enough mana to cast Obosh. Now they're forced to block, lose a Mayhem Devil, or else die from 12 damage. As it is, they're still going to drop to 4 and lose a Mayhem Devil. And I'm going to go ahead and hold back the land, pretend I have something in my hand. Arena doesn't make that very easy, but that's alright. Alright, Active Treason. Go figure. Go to 1. Do they have the shock? Do they have a Bone Splinters? They do. And that kills me. Alright. I do not like the Active Treason Bone Splinters decks. I think in more cases than not it's going to hurt them in the end. Bone Splinters, when you have no creatures of your own, is such a bad draw. But obviously it worked for them. I mean, I can't sit here and say Sour Grapes, you know, it's bad when it beat me. I just think in more cases than not, Active Treason is too expensive and Bone Splinters is just a bad card. I don't like this hand. 2 light up the stage early. I have a 1-drop. Well, my opponent goes first. I may keep it because if nothing else, if I can get in with Grim Initiate turn 2, I can cast Light Up the Stage and look for some more gas. And Anax is not a bad draw on its own. I don't know. We'll see. I'll play it and see how bad it works out. Because I'm still learning how to mulligan this deck. I hate doing mulligans. I'm terrible at it. And it is one of my big weaknesses that I need to work on. My opponent probably loading in for the first time. Arena lately has been having this issue. The first time you load into a game, it stalls a while. After that first time, though, it usually is just fine. And I run up against another aggro deck. So Grim Initiate's going to be good in that respect because I will be able to drop Grim Initiate and have a blocker because they're both first strike. Bone Crusher Giant does give me a nice turn 2 play. Ah, well, that's not so great. But I can go, it's Mardu Knights, and I have problems against Mardu Knights. They usually can just steamroll me because they build up way too quickly. Heraldic Banner next turn is going to help. We shall see. Oh, goody! Knights will gain +1/+1. So now all Knights are 2/2s with first strike. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my Heraldic Banner, give my creatures red, drop my own Fervent Knight, and swing 4, why not? Let's get some damage back. They've been dealing damage themselves. This gives me a way to deal a little damage back and try and equal things a bit. Ah, now they're going to start pumping out 1/1 human creature tokens. So, my response to that is good old Obosh. That's why this deck tends to be so ridiculous, is Obosh is always available. He can't be duressed out of your hand. Well, he can be like a creature, but you know what I mean. They can't use discard to get it out of your hand. They can't do anything to get rid of Obosh until you cast it. That's why the companions are so freaking powerful. That's why there's a lot of complaints about them. Honestly, at this point, it feels like in Standard, if you're not playing with a companion, you're already starting like a step down from the deck. You've already put yourself at a disadvantage by not playing a companion. That is drastically limiting the kind of decks you're seeing right now. Because a lot of these decks, they either have to beat the Yorion decks, or the Cycling decks, or maybe the Lurrus decks, or Team of Reclamation. You're going up against giants, which is why this red aggro deck can work, because it just goes underneath them and beats the hell out of your opponent long before they get a chance to get their Yorion going. This is a good aggro start. 2 Fervent Champions is always good, because they'll pump each other up, so you're starting out with a pair of 2/1 haste creatures generally. So, we're going to annoy the hell out of my opponent with a Scorch Spitter. Turn 1. Turn 2, Fervent Champion, swing 6. Because the Scorch Spitter is going to deal 1 when it attacks. So, Fervent Champion. They probably have an Omen of the Sea. Fervent Champion. Or they may have a flash creature. Up there's the Omen of the Sea. This is probably, well, it's Yorion. They've got the Sky Noodle. Companion, your starting deck contains at least 20 more than the minimum deck size. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile any other number of non-land permanents you control until end of turn, at which point they come back. When you have multiple Omens of the Sea, Planeswalkers that you can reset, Agents of Treachery to steal permanents from your opponent, it becomes a very ridiculous setup. So I'm going to go ahead and try the Heraldic Banner. I fully expect to neutralize, and there's no neutralize. Wow. Alright, 10th Street Dodger are probably overextending, and I'm going to walk right into a board wipe next turn, but I want to get as much damage in as I can. There's Ominous Sun. They're going to create a pair of 1/1 white human tokens, yeah, and they'll probably come up with the board wipe next turn. So, am I going to see Shatter the Sky? I saw Shatter the Sky, so I overextended. That was my fault. So, we rebuild. I'm going to go ahead and hard cast Light Up the Stage for next turn. I wish I had Anax in play. Anax would have given me a board in response to them wiping it. So we could see the Sky Noodle, which will be a bit of a problem. If they do drop the Sky Noodle, nope, Elspeth conquers death, so that's going to get rid of my banner. But unfortunately, it did leave them open to Obosh. Nope, I don't have the mana for it. Damn. So, Anax, hardened by the in the Forge, which has power equal to your devotion to red, meaning the number of red symbols you have on all permanents in play. Lands are colorless. Non-creature spells cost me more. Okay, fine. Shoot you in the head. They will get a creature or a planeswalker out of the graveyard. They have none. But they are going to go ahead and reset Elspeth Conquers Death to get rid of Anax, which is going to suck. I think I've fallen behind. I overextended into that Shatter the Sky, and it's probably going to be too much. In fact, well, let me see what I draw. I suspect there's nothing I can draw now that's going to change my mind, because Obosh is not going to win the game. So, should have held back on the 10th Street Dodger. My bad. Yeah, I don't know that I'll make Mythic by the end of the month. That would be nice. Just making Diamond again is great. But it's going to be a long, hard, uphill battle to get to Mythic at this point. Alright, opponent goes first. Damn it, this is a deck that wants to go first. It's an aggro deck. Feels bad when I can't. And it's another night deck. Well, I'm boned. I don't have a lot of control. And this is a deck that wants to have some control. So, I would not be surprised if they play a knight and then swing into my Fervent Champion. No, they didn't. Interesting. So this is going to suck a little. I'm trying to figure out how I want to navigate this. Other humans you control get pumped. Yeah, I'm toast. I have no removal. Mardu Knights is a deck I would love to build. I don't have nearly enough WoW cards to be able to do that. So let's play, just to mix things up a bit, let's go with some Rakdos Sacrifice to annoy the hell out of people. A deck guaranteed to make people concede out of frustration. Opponent goes first. I have no immediate aggro, but I do have a Witch's Oven and a Claim the Firstborn. So I like that. Unfortunately, I have no black mana. So I probably should have played... Well, no, that's right. I'll get a Swamp now. It's going to come into play tapped. This is the way to do it. Because I should have played a Mountain, played the Witch's Oven, but no. I want to be able to cast Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven next turn. Barring me doing this instead. Alright, so... Witch's Oven, Claim the Firstborn, swing at them for 3, bake a pie. Against Gruul Aggro. Gruul Spellbreaker, yeah, saw that coming. He's a beefy guy. Hexproof during my turn, or his turn rather. So we'll go ahead and drop the Mayhem Devil. I'm going to eat 4 to the face. There's not much I can do about that. Another land, I could probably double stomp it on my turn. Alternatively, Mayhem Devil plus Cauldron Familiar equals death. Klothos, God of Destiny. Yeah, he's nasty. And I have it. Alright, so here's how we're going to do this. Mayhem Devil. Cauldron Familiar. Leechless Life. Alright, Witch's Oven. No, not Witch's Oven. Let's see, how does this work? Getting a pre-combat? Yeah, I've got to go for it. Alright, so Cauldron Familiar. It should be out of my graveyard. So, I can't do it on their turn because he gains Hexproof. Ping, ping. Now it's going to trigger again when I sacrifice a food. Ping, ping. Tim this creature twice. Tim their creature twice, excuse me. And done. Now they can go ahead and exile my Claim the Firstborn. I have no way to pull cards out of my graveyard with this deck. The only exception is Cauldron Familiar. So I don't care if they exile my cards. If they exile a land, they're going to get some extra mana, which is going to suck. But I'll just have to deal with it. Temple of Abandon with a nice full art. I love the little art things you can get on these cards and the animations and all that. One more land, I could drop Obash. Okay, Opportunistic Dragon. Choose human or artifact. For as long as it remains in the battlefield, gain control of that permanent. Now, a lot of decks don't run Plaguecrafter, but a Plaguecrafter is such a fun card to use on problems like this. I don't have Woecraft or Woestrider, which is why. But Plaguecrafter takes out a creature so easily. Or a Planeswalker, or whatever. So if you don't have Woecrafter, play the Plaguecrafter. It is such a good card. It really is. It sucks if it's by itself, or your opponent doesn't have any creatures on board, because the only thing you're getting at is one card out of their hand, and it's going to be their worst card. But in situations like that, I had no other way to deal with that 4/3 dragon very easily, unless I, sacrifice a whole bunch of stuff. And he took my Witch's Oven away, so I couldn't do it. So that worked out pretty well. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling on that point. I will keep this because with the Midnight Reaper, I've heard that some of the decks have stopped playing Midnight Reaper. It's a really good card draw engine. Because every time you're sacrificing a creature, you're losing a life, but you get to draw a card. And that can really add up over time. Okay, they're playing Umari the Collector. So each non-land card in their starting deck shares a card type, which means every card in their deck is a creature. Period. They have nothing in their deck other than lands and creatures. Yep, it's a mutate deck. That's a very popular deck archetype to play with that. I'm going to go ahead and pay the 2 life for the Witch's Oven, because I can start double sacrificing the Cauldron Familiar. If they're foolish enough to actually mutate the baby Godzilla, which isn't really that foolish, then I will be able to play Crafter and get some real advantage next turn. So yeah, one thing they had in Ikoria, which is one of the things that actually drew me back to the game, just brought me back, is they actually worked with Toho to get the rights to print creatures from the Godzilla universe in the game. So you have various forms of Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, all these famous creatures in the game. They're actually alternate art for certain creatures. Like this is actually a Polywog symbiote, if you see the little name underneath Baby Godzilla there. So we'll pass. We blocked. I sacrifice a creature, so that gets rid of the block. That gets rid of the attack. But yeah, there are actually alternate art versions of other cards in the set. But they're awesome. So this is actually gonna suck a little more than I expected. Because they have 2 baby Godzillas, Plaguecrafter's not as good. So I'm gonna drop the Midnight Reaper instead and get my card draw engine going. I will outvalue them, basically. Fourth land will allow them to drop Umari and make all of their creatures cost 1 less generic mana. Plus give them a 4/5. Oh, so there's Batra, Dark Destroyer. They're hard casting it. So they're getting a 3/3 flyer. If they mutate it, they actually get to destroy a creature or a planeswalker. But the advantage with Baby Godzilla is any creature they play that has mutate, even if it doesn't mutate, they get to draw cards off of it. That's their card draw engine. Mutate is a new ability off of Ikoria. Ikoria? Name of the set? I don't know. Anyway, what it allows you to do is you can pay the mutate cost instead of the regular cost and put it over or under a non-human creature you control. And you start creating stacks of creatures with all these extra mutate abilities. Oh, this is nasty. So this is going to allow them to actually destroy any creature they want. So I suspect it's probably going to be the Midnight Reaper. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in order to at least get one card out of it. I'll probably do it a second time, assuming they don't target the kitty. Or I could just sacrifice the Midnight Reaper to it and get a food token out of it. Since they did mutate, they'll get a basic land card, put on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle their library. So, what are they going to target? Midnight Reaper? Alright. I'll go ahead and sack the Midnight Reaper myself. Another land doesn't help. And since they've mutated twice, they get 2 basic lands. So they're going to really ramp up now. The one big advantage is they're running out of cards in their deck. So we'll go ahead and throw the kitty in front of one of those to prevent the damage, because I can go ahead and bring it back with the food. Alright, so we are going to play Mayhem Devil. We're going to crack this, targeting a Baby Godzilla, and getting a land. We'll play another Witch's Oven. We're going to sacrifice a kitty. Deal 1 point of damage to Baby Godzilla. Play this. Sacrifice a food. Deal 1 damage to Baby Godzilla. Annoy the hell out of my opponent. Now we're going to go ahead and go after the Migratory Greathorn. This deck is so stupid. It is just so stupid. I mean, honestly, if you're my opponent right now, you're probably just going, what the hell is with this garbage? You played 1 creature, and because of it, you killed 2 of mine? You dealt 7 points of damage in 1 turn? Yes, I did. With a Mayhem Devil, a kitty, and 3 ovens, I dealt 7 points of damage. I took away their biggest creature, and I've hurt their card draw engine. So now they're playing the Gem Razor version, and Glorious, which is going to kill one of my Witch's Ovens. Gem Razor is an excellent creature for mutation right now. There are so many pertinent artifacts and enchantments. So this is going to slow down my trick a little bit. They're going to go ahead and mutate and kill another Witch's Oven. Oh, I got something for you. I got a Plague Crafter. Admittedly, destroying 2 of my Witch's Ovens does hurt my combo. Alternatively, I can drop Obosh next turn, and then I can save the Plague Crafter for a bigger target, because Mayhem Devil will then do 2 damage per ping. So pay 2 life. Obosh. Witch's Oven, crack Familiar. Deal 2 damage because all of my abilities from odd-numbered creatures now deal double damage. So Mayhem Devil deals 2 damage since it's a 3-mana creature. The Cauldron Familiar causes life loss. It does not double life loss, just damage. So there's the Umori. That's going to make all of their creatures cheaper. They have Bioquartz Space Godzilla in the graveyard, I guess? Yeah. which is actually Bracco's Apex of Forever, but it has a mutate ability that can be cast from the graveyard. And they're going to destroy my last Witch's Oven. But that's alright, because I have Plaguecrafter. I have my little secret army that's going to do this. Plaguecrafter, sacrifice Cauldron Familiar, they have to sacrifice Umori, and then I swing for the kill. After dealing 4 damage. Game. I'm really kind of surprised Rakdos Sacrifice did not do better this weekend. Seems like it should have. But then again, have I played against the Yorion deck yet? No. Umori decks are manageable. Those mutate abilities can be very strong, and when they start stacking them on one creature, it becomes ridiculous. But then the problem is, if you kill that one creature, they lose like 75-90% of their power in one shot. Mutate is all your eggs in one basket kind of ability. This is a crap hand. I have all 3 drops in my hand. This is much better. Keep 6. I will go ahead and send back... I'm going to ship back a land. So, Hallowed Fountain. A Witch's Oven is about the best draw I can pull on this. Because it gives me a... I can drop the Witch's Oven when I claim the Firstborn, then I'm able to really do some damage to them. The problem being that my Fabled Passage really can't do much right now. It's going to put the land into play tapped. So I am going to go ahead and play the Witch's Oven now while they have no mana up. I'm going to swing just for the hell of it. They can block. I don't care. I was curious to see if they block. So, this is probably going to be a Flash deck. Jeskai Flash. Oh, Jeskai Enchantment Flash. Lovely. You know what the big advantage is underneath all that? It's still vulnerable to claim the Firstborn, because it doesn't care how many enchantments on it. It's still a 2-mana creature. So I will be able to swing back with a 3/4 lifelink, deals combat damage, draw a card, and punish them for it. And then sacrifice them, because I'm an evil bastard. Submit 1. And since it was a 4 power or more creature, I got 2 food out of it. And I'll end my turn. So that leaves me with a Claim of the Firstborn, a Bone Crusher Giant. I'm in very good shape right now. Yeah, I don't like that creature very much. So we're going to go ahead and pay that tapped. We'll claim it. Yeah, I forgot. Targeting flying creatures costs 2 more because of that creature. And then see if I have annoyed my opponent enough to make them concede. And the worst problem is Serrata Scorpion with his ability, if they go ahead and wipe the board, I still deal 4 damage to them. Alright, they're going to get to draw 2 cards. That's alright. That's what I have the Devil for. The Bedevil is a bit of an odd card in this deck. It's not usually seen. I just don't have all the cards to make it the way I really want. And Bedevil is a very nice substitute. I just wish it could destroy enchantments. Alright, Skysat Sovereign gets +1/+1 for each other flying creature you control. You control with flying, gain +1/+1. I wish I could draw a Mayhem Devil right about now. But Obosh the Prey Piercer wouldn't be bad either. Like, you know, this. The only problem being that my creatures are not exactly in a place where they can kill anything. But Obosh is nice. And if I steal the Imperium Eagle, it will be a double damage creature because it has extra. It's an odd casting cost. Of course, they also fly, which makes things a little more difficult. Sea Dash or Octopus. Well, that's annoying. I need some of those. Again, I need more rare cards to be able to get them. Healer's Hawk. Oh yeah, that's gonna get stomped on. Alright. Now we swing. They're going to create a bird with flying. I'm going to go ahead and stomp that one as well. I really want to put them in an awkward position. And this is the way to do it. Now, Cauldron Familiar is going to deal that 1 damage as well. So that's 2 damage. Actually, 4 damage to them, 2 life for me, because Scorpion, Serrated Scorpion is a 2 damage trigger. It's damage, not loss of life. They're going to go for Obosh instead. They're at 4. So basically, anytime I crack a Scorpion with the Witch's Oven, I win. So, bye-bye. Wanted to make sure they didn't have any way to gain life before I did it, though. This deck makes me a little cocky. I admit it. Silent Dart. Yeah, I don't need that. I have a booster pack I can open at any time. 1 whole booster pack. I don't like my opening hand looks of it. I saw numbers flash over here that I don't care for, and yeah, all 3 mana costs. I don't want an aggro deck that doesn't draw anything, or doesn't play anything until turn 3. This is better, but still not great. Let's dish back the Fable Passage. I don't need 4 land. They're playing a Lurrus deck. So Lurrus, every permanent card in your starting deck has a converted mana cost 2 or less to play it as a companion. During each of your spells, you may cast 1 permanent spell with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard. Now, the companions, you don't actually have to meet the companion cost. That's only if you want it in your companion zone. You can play it in your deck. Silent Fart, what a name for a card. Yes, Bear Cave, that's what I said. Silent Fart, you're correct. So I've actually played extra Obosh in my decks before. I eventually removed them because having 1 in your companion and then drawing 1 off the top of your deck feels really bad. They're playing the non-Obosh, they're playing the Lurrus version using Priests of the Forgotten Gods. I don't like the Priests of the Forgotten Gods. I think, honestly, you're just paying way too much and not getting too much out of it. Plus, you're prone to blowouts. You sacrifice 2 other creatures, and your opponent promptly shocks you, and there, you just lost 3 creatures, and you got, what, 2 damage, a sack out of your opponent, and you drew a card? Now, it could be useful for effects like that, where you steal your opponent's creature and then sack away your opponent's creature, but you're still... I mean, when they activate Priests of the Forgotten Gods right now, what are they going to get out of it? 2 damage? 4 damage because it's a Serrated Scorpion, and then they get to draw a card. They didn't even get a sacrifice out of me. Yes, you got a mana, big deal. There's Lurrus. And I drew a land. So yeah, I flooded out. I'm not going to sit there. My only 2 cards are unfortunately Plague Crafters with nothing else to play. And a mana flood coming. So, oops. Every time I sit there and go, man, I don't like this card or that card, why is it that's the card that beats me? I gotta stop talking crap about some of these cards. Hyper Leone, 6009. My opponent goes first again. I would like to occasionally go first. Alright, so the Witch's Oven draw is actually pretty good, I gotta admit. It makes things a little bit better, and I have an opponent who plays at a reasonable pace. It's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and play Fable Passage, because I'm not going to be able to do much next turn, I don't think. Play the Witch's Oven, in case I need to sack something. Actually, that's kind of funny. I could save it till next... Well, no, I can't save it till next turn for the Mayhem Devil, because... I could save it... Well, we'll see what happens. Because I like having Fable Passage in play with Mayhem Devil, because it does trigger the Mayhem Devil. We're going to go ahead and pay the 2 life in case I need to stomp something. And then obviously there's no point in attacking with the wall in the way. So I'm already going to have to play a much more controlling game than aggro. Taking out planeswalkers or other threats as they come about, not overextending too much onto the board, because otherwise Shatter the Sky is going to wreck me. Go ahead and stomp their face. Now, I don't even know that I'll be able to get the Mayhem Devil on board. I'm going to go for it, but they may have a quench. Nope, they didn't have it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and crack the passage, deal 1 to them. Because the wall is going to be in the way, and there's not much you can do about it right now, but I can worry about it later. Let's see, I have 2 black mana sources. Let's go for another red one. And then there's no point to attacking with the wall in the way. I probably could swing with Serrated Scorpion, but I'm almost guaranteeing they're going to block. Elspeth Conquers Death. Never mention how much I dislike that card. Go ahead and sacrifice it so I at least get something out of it. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. Midnight Reaper. Flame the Firstborn on the wall to get it out of my freaking way. Sacrifice it to draw a card. I think. Nope, non-token. That's right, I still got it out of my way. You're going to gain 2. They get a creature or planeswalker out of the graveyard. So I don't want to kill Narset yet, not that it matters.
Thoughtfulness before action.
And there's Teferi. Teferi is a punk. Thankfully, they don't have the mana to cast Teferi this turn. I want that Elspeth Conquers Death to not find anything in their graveyard next turn. So Narset is going to stay in play. Then we're going to drop Obosh, which is going to guarantee me some nice damage this turn. And then they may Shatter the Sky. Oh, they're going to Omen of the Sun. That's fine. Which probably means they're going to follow up with the Sun next turn. Or the Shatter of the Sun. Shatter of the Sky, whatever it's called. Or they could play Yorion and flash everything. Nope, Agent of Treachery. Interesting. So they're going to steal Obosh? I don't think so. I really could use a Mayhem Devil.
And prepare.
I really could use a Mayhem Devil right about now. I am going to take the pain after the lag finishes. I hope I didn't just lose internet connection. Nope, just something lagging. Alright. So stop Narset. Play Midnight Reaper. Because if nothing else, if they board wipe, it is going to generate a lot of card advantage for me. Scorpion kills, gets 2 damage to them. I could have stacked it to get food, but I've got plenty of food. There's a Mayhem Devil. And a Claim the Firstborn, even better. Not that I can claim the Agent of Treachery, it's a 7 mana creature. Oh, there's frickin' Fire's Revenge. There's a card. I'm sorry, I'm not one for bannings. That card needs to hit the ban list. It is ridiculously stupid.
Victory is just another puzzle to be solved.
Alright, so they're going to try and pop off
Consider the future, then strike.
Omen of the Sun to deal 2 damage to Midnight Reaper. Sure, why not? I'll make a pie out of him in response. Because Mayhem Devil hits the board, I can start sacking food to deal damage. If all else fails. Sure. Alright, so how do I want to navigate this turn? Mayhem Devil is a given. Bone Crusher Giant on Narset to finish Narset off. Since I doubt I'm going to get much other effect out of it, may claim the Firstborn and the Mayhem Devil, which gains control of my own creature, but it gains haste until end of turn. So I can swing for 6 this way. I've just got to keep them from gaining a ton of life until I can kill them. Now, Fire's Invention says you can only cast spells during your turn, and you only can cast 2 spells each turn. But you can cast a spell with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana cost. So you get free spells. So you get crap like Agent of Treachery for free, which deals any permanent on the board. So there, and I have sacrificed my Mayhem Devil, which is going to suck because I lose a lot of my ability to deal damage to my opponent. And they're going to cast probably Yori and Sky Nomad, which is going to flash both Agents of Treachery and cause them to get more frickin' cards. And of course, by flashing away the Flyer's Invention, they can play other abilities. And yeah, this is why I usually don't play this long with Yorian decks. I got a slow draw against a deck that is a little too strong because of Fires of Invention. It's a deck that would be perfectly strong without Fires because it's still powerful. It's just Fires of Invention pushes it over the top with free spells. Any time in Magic's history you have had free spells, you have had nothing but trouble with the card. And yet Magic does not learn. Wizards, I should say, does not learn from it. This is a garbage hand. I believe I will be going ahead and mulliganing it. This is a better hand. I use the term loosely. I will probably ship back Midnight Reaper to the bottom of my deck. My opponent took a mulligan as well. They opened up a Scorch Splitter, but Serrated Scorpion is a fantastic answer to that. Because it's a 1-2 versus their 1-1. And there's a Fervent Champion.